Let me find out. I can always get it from Excel, but today function. Oh, okay, date. Let's make sure that's the case. Sub Tata message box date. The sub is basically a collection of things that perform a certain task. It doesn't return anything. When you have a little sub like that, if you hit F5, it's executed, and it tells me what that date is. By the way, I never view myself as a programmer or an expert in VBA. I know things I need very well. And sometimes I don't know certain things. You may not believe that, but that happens. I just look it up. But sometimes these days, if I'm going to do something relatively complicated, I don't want to plan the whole thing, I go to ChatGPT and say, write me Excel VBA code to do the following. It's not exactly what I want, but I know enough to modify it to make what I want. In certain cases, you just record a macro. Given ChatGPT, I don't have to do that anymore. But recording a macro means you perform a series of actions on worksheet. While you're doing that, Excel generates the VBA code that would have performed those actions for you. Then you just modify it. So date is what I want, all right? But idate minus date gives you number of days between the two. Remember in Excel, dates are represented as number of days that have passed since January 1, 1900 or 1904, depending upon the option you picked on your advanced stuff. It doesn't matter at all which one you pick. So the difference between two dates is basically the number of days. So I'm going to divide it by 365.0. Actually, I'm going to make it 0.25. Not that it matters too much. Okay, we have our I time. And let's see. Our I money is log I spot over I strike. Now, you may have noticed that I put in the function names and variable names with an interesting capitalization. A, I like it that way, and B, I'm not doing it all lowercase for a reason. When you're writing the code and you misspell the name of the variable or the function, if you did everything small case, there is nothing that's going to tell you until you actually run it that you misspelled it. But as soon as I hit return, I didn't even have to hit return, see the capitalization changed. So if that capitalization doesn't change, that means I didn't type it properly. It's a little trick I learned years ago after making so many, spelling mistakes. And the I drift is going to be the following. R plus 1/2 sigma squared times time. That's roughly R plus sigma squared over 2 is roughly how much you expect the stock to go over time per year. I rate plus I volat square times, where are you? I time. Plus, why doesn't it? I'm going to multiply it with itself again. So I have those two pieces. The reason I divide things into pieces is more likely not to make a mistake on smaller pieces. Then you just put them together. So this is my I money. This is my I drift. I'm going to calculate the sigma times this as well. Did we give a name for that? Let's call that dim. I'm going to call that P volat as double. That's basically volatility for the period. You know, the sigma that we end with the volatility is for a year. But if this is a 3-month option, volatility is going to be square root of that. Or, no, half of that. Square root of time. So let's get our P volat as well. I'm going to be slightly over time. Square I time. By the way, in worksheet, the function log refers to natural logarithm, or in VBA. In worksheet, that actually refers to a general log function with a different base. In VBA, square root is SQR. In worksheet, it's SQRT. So this, I'm not squaring I time. I'm actually taking square root. Don't ask me why. This is a Microsoft product. These people don't talk to each other. So I have, that's P volat, I money, I drift. Now I can calculate D1 and D2. Okay? D1, or not D1, my D1 equals I money plus I drift, the whole thing divided by P volat. My D2 is D1 minus P volat. I need to calculate ND1. VBA does not have a built-in function to calculate cumulative distribution of normal, but we can always refer to the Excel function. And you do that by saying application dot worksheet function dot name of the function norm as dist, then the argument my D1. We could have written a simple VBA function that did just that, but hey, time is of the essence. I'm going to do the same thing for ND2. We have almost everything we need. Oh, let me do one more. This is PV strike. Present value of the strike price. That's strike time, I strike times X minus I rate times I time. And finally, Black-Scholes call equals. That's the value you're returning. Let's remember, n of d1 times spot, n of d2 times present value of the strike. So n d1 times I spot minus n d2 times PV strike. If I have done everything right, we should be home. Let's just see that we have. I'm going to send you guys home even if we haven't. Again, this is a function you created. Initially, you can always go to this function helper, select user defined, find your function, Black-Scholes call, put your inputs, spot, strike, interest rate, volatility, and where are you? Date. I don't know why it gave that number, but something's going on here. Let me quickly look at it. If it's not a quick solution, we'll look at it on Monday. Oh, I forgot a 0.5 there, among other things. It's still not giving the right price, so I'm going to check it. So let's stop here today. Look at the homework. Get the group, first part of the group, that done relatively quickly, so that individually you can work on your stuff. Then basically it's due next Friday. That means if you want, next Wednesday after this class, you guys can get together as a group, bring together the individual stuff, and complete the last part of the group. All right? If you have any questions, remember, the stupidest question is the one you need to ask. There are no stupid questions if you ask me. Question means you don't know how to do something, and I want to know that.
The guy with last name Moberly, he sent me a text and said he's had a stomach bug this week.
Yeah, I got an email, but
He said he wasn't sure if he'd seen it or not, so.
after attendance, I did now. I'm gonna go correct those.
Alright. I just wanted to know, like I said, he sent me a text, so I just wanted to.
He's sending you text doesn't mean anything to me.